Hi, Sal, how are you?
Hi, Amy, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, I have some questions to ask you about your academy experience. So, my first question for you is, how do you feel you've transitioned from the 1010 Academy to your client work?
So I feel like I've transitioned quite well from 1010 Academy to client work, only because the 1010 Academy gave me a good foundation of knowledge that I could then apply to use on my use client side, because we learned about things within development, software testing, and agile. And this in turn made it easier to understand what when these things were brought up within a work environment, specifically PMO that I'm currently working in for an insurance company, where we have multiple software projects running at a time. And you often in my role, you have to find out more details about what requirements might be needed for resourcing and financing. So if there's a project plan, for example, how many developers are you going to need, testers, um, BAs, and where they're going to fit within that timeline, specific work they're doing. And then having that knowledge from 1010 Academy is very useful because you understand where everyone fits within the process.
Right, I guess it's a good foundation knowledge because I guess,
Mm.
you learn the basics, you then get your specialism, and then obviously when you go in your job, it's all completely different. You don't know what to expect, but having that initial knowledge there is definitely probably quite comforting as well to you to know that you have it. So my next question is, what client teams have you worked with and what specific projects have you been responsible for during your placement?
So I've worked with multiple client teams as I sit within a PMO unit. So I specifically manage the resourcing and finance functions of PMO. So I have to work with a finance business partner and finance operations in terms of the costs that project managers have on a monthly basis. I also work with underwriting, and because that's quite big within the company I've been placed in. And so I have to have contact with them in terms of how they manage their resources that have links towards projects that we currently run. And also any other, I would say, most departments where there is some touch basically within the projects that we're doing, because you're going to need different aspects of each department in anything you're doing. For example, you might need BAs on a project, but then on the flip side of that, you might need a marketing team or a technical wordings writer for how you're going to describe the product that you're putting out. So there's a lot of different areas that I've had exposure to and got to meet loads of lovely people within those teams.
Yeah, that's really good. It's also getting that experience up as well. If you move on and you decide,
Mm.
PMO is not really for me anymore, kind of want to do a different thing. You have the 1010 training plus like work experience and networking from everyone, which is really, really good. So my next question is, what parts of the 1010 Academy training have been the most useful in your placement?
So I enjoyed a lot of different things that we learned within the 1010 Academy, but the ones that were most useful, I would say, would be the history we learned about the tech industry, about hardware, about software, and also about agile and waterfall methodologies, and also what we learned about databases, because I use that in my day-to-day work. So having that additional knowledge on top of what I already knew when I previously worked as an accountant um, gave me greater insight to be able to use those skills to help me succeed in my placement. And I think overall, just the 1010 Academy was very good at just giving us that foundation knowledge to be able to tackle the tech industry if we're new to it or we haven't had exposure to it before.
What is a normal working day or working week for you?
Uh, so for me, my weeks tend to vary quite a bit, but there will always be lots of meetings with different stakeholders depending on what's the agenda for the week. So within PMO, there's many different aspects. There's status reporting. So status reports might be due. So you'd have to speak to different project managers to ask them to get their reports and their feedback. And that these will then go into forums or board packs that to report back on how the project is doing. And also, there's also the aspect of the finance and budget requirements for the project. So checking in with the PMs to see if they're still on track, to see if their costs have come through, and then some weeks resourcing requirements. So across the business for the projects that we're working on, making sure that the projects that we have are resourced and looking at the data around that and making sure that if I can spot any contentions to see if there's any issues arising. So my weeks do vary quite a bit, but I tend to plan ahead and just do what I need to do as and when it becomes essential for me to complete that task.
Great. It sounds busy though, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Sounds like you've
it
always
is.
got a lot to do. So have your roles or responsibilities changed at all during your time on placement?
Yes, they have. So when I first started, they started me slow. So they gave me easy tasks basically to build me up and help me gain more confidence within the role and what I'm doing. And as time has progressed, I've taken on more responsibility and kind of branched out a bit to do more things. Currently, I'm on the social committee within the placement I'm in, and that's just, I suppose that's not more a work commitment, but it's just something I've taken on within the organisation to meet more people and to see what other stakeholders I can speak to that I wouldn't normally in my normal day to day.
Nice. It's nice that you kind of have an opportunity to do something like that in a company, because when there's extra things about, it's the same as here, there's the employee committee, there's so many different things, it means that you're not just working with your team, you can work with other people. And again, like I said before, it is networking, and that's great anywhere you go. Even if you leave and go into somewhere else, it's knowing people. It's the heart of every job, isn't it? Knowing people. So it's really good that you're getting yourself involved in that. So what technology, tools, frameworks and processes have you gained experience with since starting your client work?
So I would say a lot of the things that I've done client side are skills that I already had, but I've had some exposure to Power BI recently, where that's helped us to visualize data in different ways. So that's useful just when presenting back to stakeholders, to people that might need to have the data in a certain format for them to be able to get what they need from it in the way that's best for them. But because the PMO unit I'm working in is quite new, so all of these new technologies that would obviously help aid us to be more efficient, I would say. We're still in the process of developing all of that. So we're heavily reliant on Excel currently, but new tools, I'm looking forward to being able to use those when they do arrive. So, but it's just a journey, I suppose, at this point.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? You're still learning. So I think it's a key thing that I've realized with people with tech careers. It is, you could know everything that you could know at that point, but tech's always changing, isn't it? It's literally the future. So it's always changing, and keep on top of that. And the fact that your business is clearly quite, they find it quite important that you guys do keep learning all the different tools and frameworks is really good as well. Again, like I said, if you go on anywhere else, the fact that you have those skills, whether they're, a tiny bit or, quite a big amount of skills in that bit, it's always really good to just have, and it builds your career, doesn't it, anywhere you go.
And
so, oh, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, and with tools as well, you could get more high-tech tools, but the information you're getting from them might not be any more accurate, depending on if you're putting in good data or not. So I think it's having really good processes first, and then finding the tool that will meet those requirements.
Yeah, definitely. Also, probably depends as well what different requirements are. You might use different tools for different things. The more you know, isn't it? So how has your client supported your development? So this could be in some sort of training sessions, one-to-ones, meetings, individual projects, or shadowing maybe people that are a bit more experienced than you.
So I've been lucky that my team is quite small. So the manager that I have there we have bi-weekly one-to-ones, but we also have a team meeting every single Friday where we'll discuss what we're working on, how it's going, if we have any blockers. And we also do sessions as well based on our own self-development. So we'll say, okay, this is what I want to achieve in the next 3 months, and these are the milestones in place for me to do that. And we'll each work towards our own goals collectively and individually. So we'll have collective things we want to achieve as a team where we can make improvements and be more efficient in the processes we're running. So I've had a lot of self-development while being on this placement, and I think I've really grown as a person there. and I'm learning things all the time, and I'm very, very happy currently.
Well, that's really good to hear. It's nice to know if you looked after.
Yeah.
And again, with support, I guess, because we're still working under 1010, you're still here. So what
Yeah.
type of support have you received from 1010 whilst you've been on your placement as well?
So I feel like 1010's been very helpful as well. I've been able to reach out to the relevant people whenever needed to. So there might be something that I might need help with in terms of in client side, just because I don't have the knowledge of it. But then I find that 1010 has the resources to help us with that, as in we have courses that we can do to help us improve our understanding, and people who might be working in the same fields as us that we can reach out to, and they might have a solution on how they've solved a problem in the past. So I think 1010 is really a very good support system, and it provides a network of other professionals working in similar careers where you can get advice all the time. So I think 1010's been very supportive throughout my journey and year here. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's also lunch and learns as well, which are basically nearly every other week. I see them come
Yeah.
up all the time, which is so good because that's the more experienced consultant speaking to people who aren't as experienced. And also, a lot of people, when I ask that question, talk about the wellbeing team and the idea that if they've ever had any sort of issue, whether it's a client issue, a personal issue, anything, the wellbeing team are just, I mean, I know them personally as well. They're so good at just anything, but they're
Yeah.
just so helpful and they're so kind.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard a bad word about them, to be fair.
Yeah, I definitely have to include the wellbeing team within that, just because they were always there to respond to any queries I might have. And sometimes you take it for granted, but I appreciate what they do so much.
Yeah, they're really great. So have you been given any extra opportunities through your client work? So this could be if you've had to travel anywhere, attend some sort of industry event, any client meetings or any charity community work. Obviously you touched on you were in a certain committee, so that could kind of go into that as well. But anything else that you've had from there?
So last year there was a charity day that we did where we volunteered to help raise money for disabled people to be able to, I think it was a cricket club if I'm recalling correctly, and then some ex-England professionals for the England team came down, and that was quite interesting to be involved with that and to obviously give back to the community and just do some good work. It was a very different experience. I'm not into cricket too much, but it was nice to see how it was played and people's excitement when they saw people that they looked up to or were their favorite players when they used to watch cricket years ago. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, it's really good as well. I think because, you know, when you think of tech company, everything's tech based, but things that you guys do, I've heard some great things. I've been kind of jealous of you guys sometimes. I've heard someone went to Utrecht once for a company meeting. There's loads of industry events down in London, and it's some really exciting opportunities. I think a lot of our clients as well are very eager to make sure you guys are getting into the workplace, because a lot of you are postgraduate, not had a proper job before your client work, so they're eager to get you into the career path properly, which is, you couldn't ask for anything better, could you really? So that's really good. I've got one more question I'm just going to throw in for you. So this is just, if there's anyone watching who is kind of interested in applying for the academy, thinking of applying to the Tech Academy, what would you say to them?
I would say do it. If you want to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, try something new, and to really challenge yourself, then I would definitely say apply. Like, I think it's the best thing that I've ever done, as in I'd worked previously before this, and I feel a lot more job satisfaction and enriched than what I do currently. So I would say do it.
That's great. Thanks so much for speaking to me today, Sal.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you, Amy. Take care.